And Shana Tova. I look around the room and I can't help but smile. People who I've gotten to know over these years and shared so many holy moments with. And here we are at the beginning of another year. And how beautiful to be together after a year of franticness and busyness and all the running and all that we do, another year, another moment to just stop and hit that pause button on life and come here through these days and remember all that is good and holy and wise and important about our heritage and our tradition. Our sages, speaking about Jewish tradition in a big picture way, they told us that the whole thing, all of it, the foundation of being a Jew, can be summed up in three broad categories. They said God, Torah, and Israel. And so I thought, as I organized my sermons through these days, tonight into tomorrow into Sunday, that's what I would do. That tonight I would speak about God, tomorrow morning about Torah and mitzvot, Sunday morning about Israel. But for tonight, God. 3 letters, right? 3 little letters that capture an idea, that capture a reality for those of us who do believe. 3 letters that countless books and countless libraries have been devoted to trying to understand and explore and investigate. They're 3 letters that reach towards something that we all know is impossible to capture in letters, in words. I say the word God. I say it, God. And each and every one of you, I know it conjures up a different set of feelings, emotions, memories, different images, different passion, different love, different anger for some of us, different frustrations. Philosophers speak about the concept of God. They say it's ineffable. It's that which you can feel in a place deep down, but when you go to try to describe it like I'm going to try right now, the words just fall short. So how do we speak about God? How do we think about God? It's important, right? We're going to be spending the next many days from now until end of Yom Kippur and then through Sukkot doing nothing but addressing God in this book. So I have to ask you, who are you addressing? Who is the God of your understanding every time you say Baruch Atah Hashem, which you're going to say countless times through these days? Who's the Hashem for you? Conservative Jews, we get nervous talking about God. I can already see some of you starting to squirm and smirk and, oh, he's going to talk about God. We talk a lot about Jewish culture and heritage. We talk about Israel. We talk about charitable contributions to good causes, but we get nervous when the rabbi gets up and says, God. We don't want to seem too spiritual, right? Don't want to seem too fluffy. We're too smart for that as American Jews. I'll give you the statistics. About a quarter of American Jews, 26%, say they believe in God as described in the Bible, compared with more than half of United States of American adults overall, 56%. Jewish adults, twice as likely as the general public to say that they don't believe in any kind of higher power or spiritual force at all in the universe. That's 22% versus 10% of those polled outside of the Jewish world. We are the questioning people. We're not shy about it. Passion in religious life, the spiritual practice of just speaking to the God that we believe in an improvised way, calling out to the creator of the universe with my fears, with my hopes, with my gratitude. We feel silly. It's hard for us. It's kid stuff, some of us say. Yet here we are, through these days, holding this machzor, singing these prayers, all of them in praise of, the focus is on God. What happens when you take God out of this book? It's 400 or so pages. What are you left with? Nothing. There's nothing there. If you take God out of the equation, as many humanist Jews do, we've tried. What's left? We have ourselves staring in the mirror, or what's worse, ourselves staring into the void. We have what one prominent atheist, Richard Dawkins, said as a philosophy of life. We should expect that there is at bottom no design, no purpose, no evil and no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference to it all. Perhaps you're coming into these days in this service not a strong believer, a questioning Jew, an agnostic, or a proud atheist. If you are, that's okay with me. I applaud your questioning, and I respect it. But even still, can you be open to the possibility of something more, at least when you walk into this sanctuary and open this book, than blind, pitiless indifference? Can you be open to what Rabbi Heschel of blessed memory said was the most important message that this generation needs to hear? That there is meaning beyond the absurdity, that there's meaning beyond the indifference. That somehow in the grand scheme of trillions of years since the birth of the universe, and I know we say 5784, but it's a lot bigger than that, that somehow through all of that, I could be a conscious being that wakes up one day and says, I am, and the miraculous, awe-inspiring fact of that, and then to stop and say, as small as I am, in the grand scheme of everything, still, my life has infinite worth. My life has value. That there's a force that allows for all of that to be possible. Can you be open to that realization? Can the prayers that we say wake you up to that possibility? Of course, some of us come into the year angry with God. I hear it all the time. People come to me, I'm angry with God, and I don't know whether I should come to shul. I don't know whether I should pray or not, because I got a pretty bad lot in 5783. Let me share with you a story about a man who was a proud atheist. He shared with anybody who would listen his problems with the cruel and uncaring God. He went to the famous Hasidic master, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, and he approached him and he said, I can't believe in this cruel and mean God who's given me so much pain. And the Rabbi Levi Yitzchak turned to him and said, you know, that God you don't believe in? Well, guess what? I don't believe in him either. So who's the God that you could believe in? Even as a questioning Jew, can you look out into the universe with all its complexity? Can you look inward to your life with all the blessings you've been given? Can you be humbled by the fact that as important as you may be, there's more to all of this than just you and the story you tell yourself about your life? That's what these holidays, it's what these prayers are about. Seeking that meaning and holding on to it, cherishing it, allowing it to move us and allowing it to inspire us to grow. This idea of God is very personal. Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics, say there's 72 names of God, and it was their way of saying each and every one of you gets to have a unique relationship. Moses, we're told, heard God's voice in the voice of his father because he needed that voice, a voice of love and a voice that would teach him how to be the man he knew he could be. At Sinai, we heard the voice of God in a loud thunderous, booming voice because we were slaves and we needed to be woken up. Elijah the prophet heard God's voice in a soft whisper because he was a prophet and he was intense and he was a little bit rough around the edges and he needed to remember what it meant to be compassionate and quieter. So what about you? Whatever your relationship with God is, what voice do you need to hear? And if it's a relationship that's been dormant through these years or through this year, only to revisit it now, I hope you will. If it's a relationship that's not on good terms, a relationship of anger and resentment, just know you're not alone in that. There are many others like you. If it's a relationship based in gratitude and hope, I hope you'll celebrate that in these days to come. Final story for tonight about a rabbi who dies and goes up to heaven, but before he's let in, the angel in charge of the gate at heaven consults with God for a long time to determine if this rabbi even has a place in heaven. And as the rabbi's sitting there looking at his watch and waiting, an Israeli bus driver comes to the gates of heaven, and without a second thought, the angel consulting with God says, okay, let him in, and lets the bus driver right in, not the rabbi. And the rabbi points at the bus driver and yells and says, how come he gets in so quickly? He's a simple bus driver. I'm the rabbi. And the angel explains, oh dear rabbi, when you gave sermons during the high holidays and during services, and you went on too long and everyone just wanted to go to dinner after or they fell asleep, nobody really prayed. But when this bus driver drove toward Tel Aviv, all of his passengers were on the edge of their seats praying to God as if they had never prayed before, with more fervor than ever before. Friends, it's my duty through these days to get you praying again, to get your hearts started again spiritually, praying with the full earnestness that you might on a plane in turbulence or on a bus in Tel Aviv, praying so that you review your whole life and everyone you love and everything you've done in this past year with that intensity and that commitment to do better. Because we all know when the turbulence stops, you forget all about your prayers and you forget all about that God and you go on with your day. But don't. We have been given an opportunity through these days to open this book and to let its power move us. I hope it will. May these words of our Machzor in the days to come move each of us to take a step closer, if only one, to our tradition, of course, to ourselves, of course, but I hope to the God of your understanding. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova.